everyone, welcome to the Inner West Library's Mindfulness and Poetry workshops. But before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Gadigal and Wangal people of the Eora Nation, and to pay our deepest respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and to any First Australians watching today. Hope you enjoy it.
Read the news of the world, ink stain in the face of a girl. Are you tired of the same old crime? Well, we'll find you a new criminal. Break in and enter a mind, take any pain you find, shatter the narrative live and cut our throats in primal time. We have an exclusive that the world is on fire. No imagination had an evil empire, this wicked, this twisted, this sick and this vicious. What this witch has printed means Murdoch must fall. Mirror, mirror, wall of paper, who's the fairer? Wretched emperor. Mirror, mirror, wall of paper, who's the fairer? Wretched emperor. Behind enemy headlines, feared of the press, to serve and protect just 1%. Hear the roar of the nerve racked on a human might check. Got to swallow mere mortals running rings around Goliath's neck. News is so limited down memory holes. Brothers not big enough at 27 years old. Fear for the fire, grotesque wall of China. 21st century, is it too late to take control? Control. Mirror, mirror, wall of paper. Who's the fairer? Wretched emperor. Mirror, mirror, wall of paper. Who's the fairer? Wretched emperor. G'day good people, I'm D.A. Carter, and what you've just seen is a poem of mine, which is called Mirror, Mirror. So I've put a bit of my spoken word poetry at the start of these workshops as an example of what you might aspire to. You might be an expert at writing poems, or it might be your first time writing and performing poetry. Either way, welcome. I hope that these tools are going to be useful in these workshops, because this is about mindfulness and attention to the breath as a tool for relaxation, to calm down, to get into a good state for writing. And also, we're going to go through some exercises and then some exercises to rehearse and practice using attention on the breath as a principle to help you perform better. So this is a workshop that will be in 3 parts, and it's called Mind Your Writing. This is the first part. It's called Introduction to Mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is simply a practice where you become aware of how thoughts arise and train your mind to become a bit more focused on the present moment rather than running thoughts constantly, being full of judgments and thoughts about the past or the future. Now, I was introduced to mindfulness and meditation through a Buddhist teacher in Thailand, and he called the typical restless state of our minds the monkey mind, always jumping from one thought to the next. Now, I was introduced to mindfulness through Buddhism, but what's important to know is that you don't need to believe in anything, you don't need to do anything or change your state of being in order to practice mindfulness. It's really just a secular thing that you don't need to be attracted to any particular ideology, spirituality, or religion. But what does mindfulness and this default state of our minds, the monkey mind, have to do with writing, poetry, and creativity in general? Well, for me, it's all about flow. Now, I believe that the best writing occurs when you're in a flow state, and that's where you're not struggling with thoughts about what's happening and what to write next, but you just simply become fully absorbed in the process such that it feels effortless. A lot of the poems that I've written somehow just come out of me in a very natural way, and I feel a bit mystified as to how I've done it. And I think the answer to that is through flow. It takes practice to go from an ordinary restless state of mind or a monkey mind to a flow state. And this is where mindfulness can help. And that brings us to the first exercise, which is simply called 10 breaths. So all you're going to do is take 10 breaths. It's pretty simple, but we're going to try and keep attention on the breath, and you're going to realize that might be more difficult than it seems. So simply sit comfortably on your pillow or chair with your back straight, legs crossed, and if you're in a chair, sit with your feet flat with a straight back. Now I want you to place your finger at the point underneath your nose like this, like you're doing a bit of a moustache vibe. Take a deep breath in and exhale. So notice the sensation of breath rushing past that part of your nose. And now take your finger away and keep your attention right there. We're going to focus on that sensation right there, where your breath comes in and out. We're going to try and focus on that point for 10 breaths. It might seem simple, but here we go. Now, if you notice a thought arises or your attention is distracted, simply acknowledge the thought. I like to say, thanks for coming, and try to return your attention to the breath. So here we go. Well, how did you go? How did you find that thoughts intruded, arose? If so, you're not alone. Now, mindfulness breathing practice is a good way to become aware of how difficult focusing your mind really can be, even when you're only trying to do it for 10 breaths. Now, my meditation and mindfulness practice has been beneficial for me in several ways. Firstly, just becoming aware of how difficult it is to focus and becoming more focused in my day-to-day life as I practice. Secondly, it's a useful tool to help calm down and change states from my usual monkey mind, default mode, to a more relaxed state, ready to begin writing, to sit down and to start creating stuff. And thirdly, I use mindfulness to form habits and develop discipline, because focusing on the breath is really difficult and requires quite a lot of practice. And so once I decided to pursue forming like a really difficult habit, it actually made other things that I was trying to do in my life seem easier because this stuff can be quite tricky. So if you want to explore mindfulness further, there's a wealth of free apps and resources on mindfulness. I use a simple meditation app called Breathe, which is available on Android. I've heard very good things about the Headspace app, which is available everywhere, iOS, Android, maybe Windows Phone. I don't know if anyone has any of those. I hope that you've found this introduction to mindfulness in writing useful, and that you'll join me in the next parts, introducing a mindful writing technique and reading and performing with attention on the breath.